moving the feed to mix 2.
Okay, I'll inform the pit crew of your instructions.
LCD system.
Il a parcouru les plus grandes villes du monde et s'apprête maintenant à terminer sa course chez nous, le championnat FIA de Formule électrique. Pour la chance de vivre cette expérience unique qui allie technologie et environnement grâce au concours Rouler sous haute tension. À gagner, 2 forfaits pour 4 personnes comprenant des billets premium, un tour privé des garages, un accès VIP à la cérémonie des podiums et bien plus encore.
Oh, c'est quoi ça?
Une course spectaculaire en plein cœur des rues de Montréal. C'est une décharge d'adrénaline garantie.
Tiny Tears is crying. Perhaps her nappy's wet. Just change her like a baby in her very own care set. Now Tiny Tears is comfy and ready for a drink. Her care set's now a carry cot. That's clever, don't you think? Tiny Tears, teeny weeny Tiny Tears, and care set from Palatoy.
Look who's here to see us, Granny.
Well, hello, young'un.
Hi, Granny. What's that smell?
Well, you're in for a feast tonight. Stuffed gopher.
That might take a while. Let's have nachos first.
Doggies, that sounds real nice.
New Tostitos nacho-style tortilla chips with new beef and cheese topping.
Hot dog!
No nachos. They're so easy. Even Jethro can make them. Let's do the hillbilly wave.
Tostitos. Nachos, that is.
Star Wars. It's great in the arcade. Whoa! Strike fighters! Fireballs! Coming right out of here! Watch the laser towers. Aim for the tops. Get in the capitals. Use the force. Coming too fast! It's late! Wait! My shields are gone! Alright! I'm going in!
Oh, some game, huh?
Some game!
In a galaxy of video games, there is only one. Star Wars, the arcade game.
Beef ragu, a dish you might not cook unless your dishwasher could handle the mess. The new GE Pot Scrubber 2 dishwasher can. It's got room for big pots, a tough new interior which won't chip, peel, or rust ever. And listen to this. It's really quiet. To help you out of some tough scrapes, get the incredible Pot Scrubber 2 dishwasher.
From General Electric, America's #1 major appliance.
Comparable. C'est parce qu'il y a tout Renault dans Renault Occasion.
The winningest car in NASCAR Winston Cup history is back. Introducing the race-modified Chevrolet Monte Carlo.
Okay, let's clean up this yard. Nah, let's go to Chuck E. Cheese's instead.
No more TV for you, young lady. We're going to Chuck E. Cheese's.
Let's see. Tuna surprise, creamed asparagus, or Chuck E. Cheese's.
These happy endings were brought to you by Chuck E. Cheese's, where a kid can be a kid.
Thunderjet. Make way for Thunderjet. Great and mighty Thunderjet.
Wow! Ooh, lime. Orange. And rose flavor too.
Mighty Thunderjet.
Bonjour. Voulez-vous l'essayer?
Oui, ce serait bien. On s'attache. Surprenante.
Dans chaque Honda Accord,
Il y a un moteur Honda.
Esta vez, los superdiabólicos se han apoderado de los subterráneos de la ciudad. Y los superfantásticos, capitaneados por Starsman, se dirigen a su encuentro. La aeromoto de Red Masker es atacada por los superdiabólicos Pitón y Bad Tiger. Yo, Doctor Diabolic, os desafío a jugar con el Gamcomic Superstars.
Have your contact lenses gotten so uncomfortable you feel like trashing them? Well, don't. Give them a bath in OpDesign Weekly, and they'll feel comfortable again. OpDesign from Alcon. We can help you love your lenses.
I must say, we are very honoured to have you here, Lady Tottington.
My pleasure.
Oh, I'll just make sure it's a
Oh, I'm sleepy.
Whoa!
I say.
What?
Fancy yourself as an inventor? Your contraption could win you up to £10,000. See PG Tips Packs for details.
Mr. Wallace.
You couldn't get enough of it. You ate Nintendo. You drank Nintendo. You slept Nintendo. Now, Toys R Us has the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. A new Nintendo system with Super Mario World. 3D graphics, 32,000 colors, 16-bit power. Toys R Us, the biggest video game store in the world. So now you can breathe Nintendo, love Nintendo, be Nintendo at Toys R Us.
Get into a new kind of cool. Get Shorty, the original motion picture soundtrack. Get Shorty includes great new music by Morphine, Us Three, and Stink by John Lurie. Get with it. Get Shorty, the original motion picture soundtrack. Available now on Antilles, CDs, and cassettes.
Kraft macaroni and cheese. The laws of modern science, Oni. Can't explain the physics of Kraft cheese and macaroni.
Because when the cheese starts flowing, Kraft gets your noodle going.
It's a wild witch macaroni.
Or a man-made monster Oni.
It's Kraft cheesy macaroni.
And now, you can get a poster from the movie Space Jam starring Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan. Free with 4 proofs of purchase, plus postage and handling. Details on specially marked boxes of Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Nice, Bill Toy.
And sell out here at this circuit. The track itself is a series of very similar sections with long straights, slow corners, heavy braking zones. It's a circuit that requires stability under braking.
As usual, once the cars are in their grid positions, the lights will go on.
You're right there, Murray.
Go, go, go! This is the critical time now. Straight down towards turn 1 they come. A fabulous sight. 22 cars fly down to turn 1. It's a beautiful start. This'll really help the team in this year's Constructors' Championship. It's not enough to be... Let's put him down a place. anything happens. Let's put him down. Remember, anything happens in
Well, apologies about the break in our programming there. Grand Prix 4 has decided to Grand Prix off itself, and we're going to try and get the picture coming back as soon as possible. Stay tuned, we're going to have some commercials playing, and we'll be back racing before you know it.
¡Atención todos los que tienen incompleta la colección He-Man! Traigo desde Eternia una solución mágica.
Ahora, comprando cualquier juguete de la colección He-Man aparecido hasta noviembre del 87, te llevas otro de regalo. Y con el castillo de Grayskull, un Eterniasaurio.
Corre a las jugueterías y aprovecha esta oferta mágica de Top Toys.
The best things in life cost a little more, but they're worth it. Like Panache by Lothric. Panache is a fragrance with flair, charm, and lots of style. Panache is classical, and when you wear it, everybody notices. Panache by Lothric, one of the good things in life.
Bob here has just completed a monster day at school. Bob needs a pick-me-up. Chocolate milk Bob. Smooth, rich, creamy. Woo! Look at Bob go. Chocolate milk. Monster snack idea.
Por fin Robotech, el álbum del futuro. Los maestros de la robotecnia atacan y los héroes de la Tierra continúan la defensa. Álbum Robotech, con los personajes de la serie y la gran aventura de las 3 generaciones. Completa las páginas centrales y gana una mountain bike todoterreno o un rapidísimo skate. Álbum Robotech ya está en todos los kioscos. Además, canjea y colecciona las espectaculares naves armables Century Tactical y Veritech Fighter.
When you get the new car? What car? You know what car? No, what car? Did you just get a raise? Would need a raise to buy that car.
Zones.
Well, the race has restarted. I will see you guys afterwards.
Remember, anything happens in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does.
They have to concentrate on two things: trying to pass the car in front and trying to keep the car behind at bay.
Remember, anything happens in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does. Yes, the beauty of this race is that it's totally unpredictable. What a fascinating season this is turning out to be. He's the fastest man on the track. That was an... in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does.
They have to concentrate on two things, trying to pass the car in front and trying to keep the car behind at bay.
Remember, anything... Yes, the beauty of this race is that it's totally unpredictable.
Hang on a moment, Murray. Something has happened.
Yes, the beauty... Yes, the beauty... How hard he's trying. He must be shedding buckets of adrenaline in that car.
You're right.
He's been overtaken. Remember,
just coming up to our commentary position now.
He'll be very aware that races can be won or lost in the pit lane. And he's off again. Remember, anything happens... That's put him down a place. That's put him down a place. He's lost a... Remember... 12th place, and they can be pleased with that. The 12th place, and they can be pleased with that. The car went well, and they can build on that performance.
You're right there, Murray. The fight is most definitely back on.
It looks to me, yes! Now he's up into first position, and he's leading.
You're right there, Murray. The fight is most definitely back on.
Yeah! That's put him down. He's been overtaken. Oh, that's down a position. That's... is the checkered flag.
Well done. We're in the points.
The session is over.
conservatives have always fixed America's problems, so let's talk about it. Brian, if you can hear me, please provide me with your age and pronouns.
47.
And your pronouns?
Let's go by Brian.
It's not. I didn't ask what you go by. I asked for your pronouns.
Mister?
I'm sorry?
I don't do all that, man.
It's a rule of the show.
Okay.
So
the guy.
Pronouns? The guy is not pronouns in the English language. Unless you're part of the LGBTQ and you use neo-pronouns. Which, you go, girl.
Nope.
No? Okay, well then what are your pronouns?
He be.
He what?
He be.
He be? Oh, he. Got it. There we go.
And
all right. B is not a pronoun. Unless you use neo-pronouns, in which case, you go, girl. Thanks for coming out the closet. Great. Brian, I'm going to start the clock.
Hold on. Wouldn't that be an insult to LGBTQ and you promote them if you were trying to insult somebody with that?
What insult?
Isn't that the way that worked back in the school days?
What insult? I'm just saying you would be, if you use neo-pronouns, you're most likely part of the LGBTQ. And then I said, you go, girl, for coming out of the closet. Where's the insult?
Because if I wasn't one and you was calling me one, you'd be insulting them, wouldn't you?
How would that be an insult?
Tells me how this world's changed, but anyways.
Do you think that it's insulting to be a member of the LGBTQ?
What car? You know what car? No, what car? Did you just get a raise? Would need a raise to buy that car.
What car? The Toyota Tercel. Starting at $71.98, it's the lowest price two-door sedan you can buy.
What do you want? What makes you think I want something? You're my brother. Could I borrow the car? Tom? Not funny, Tom.
Tercel, today's answer to life's little hang-ups.
Why did gymnast Jenny Bars stop chewing and start chewing new and improved Chewels sugarless gum?
Chewels taste better.
Why did Chef Guy LaRue stop and start chewing Chewels?
The Chewels, it tastes better.
Why did the Hoboken Halftones stop and start chewing Chewels?
Chewels taste better.
New and improved Chewels is the only sugarless gum with a delicious flavor center. And taste tests prove of leading sugarless gums.
Chewels taste better.
Fancy restaurants versus Chuck E. Cheese's. There, nothing goes right.
Oops.
Well, what do you have to say for yourself?
I should have said Chuck E. Cheese, please.
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese's, the restaurant where a kid can be a kid.
Je höher die Konzentration, umso besser ist das Ergebnis.
Der Durchbruch von L'Oreal. L-Vital Multivitamin Shampoo. Noch nie war die Konzentration an Vitaminen so hoch.
Für mehr Kraft, mehr Glanz und fühlbar gesundes Haar. Als würde ich es jeden Tag mit Vitaminen volltanken.
L-Vital Multivitamin Shampoo von L'Oreal.
Weil ich es mir wert.
Si les voitures d'occasion du réseau Renault sont incomparables, c'est parce qu'il y a tout Renault dans Renault Occasion.
One ever brings tariffs to America. They were here way before. And what were they doing the first time they were here?
Brian, Trump instituted large-scale, broad tariffs.
That's not what I asked you.
Targeted tariffs. Yes, but your question is flawed because it lacks context.
No, because actually that's what he's doing again. So he's just doing it on a larger scale because we have more money now than compared to the back in them days. So he's doing a bigger France. And then also he's bullying China because they took majority of our jobs out of America.
Larger deficit. How do we have more money if we're in a larger deficit?
I'm sure we're not into what you think we are in, but you go with it. But like I said, what was the tariffs here the first time?
Wait. What do you think?
Because in order to answer the first one, you got to be able to answer the second one. tariffs here the first time for?
Okay, can you ask the question more narrowly? That's a broad question. I don't know how you expect me to answer it. It depends
When
on
the
what
tariffs
tariff
were compared to other countries for trade.
Brian. What tariff?
So back in the 1900s, or the 1800s, late 1800s, 1900s, tariffs to other countries for trade.
Which
What
one
was the money used for when they collected from foreign countries?
Which one specific?
Generally, there was a general idea why tariffs are here for.
You either have a targeted tariff or you have a broad tariff. We typically don't do broad tariffs because they do nothing but harm typically the consumer.
So, in the late 1800s.
Holy shit. Why are we talking about the late?
And they weren't targeted.
Why are we talking about the late 1800s?
Because they're coming back into the future.
Impact of
It's the same concept. It's the same concept. Every single thing that's happening to America and other countries is that same repeats itself because nobody ever learns from this the first time. The first time tariffs are here, so I'll answer the question for you because a lot of times you have to do your homework. Because what they're doing for any trade or anything that was coming from foreign countries, that money was used to build a roads or houses or anything like that. That's what tariffs were used and you were taxed back in them days.
We are
Freight tariffs the same way because he said too, even though Trump said it, I'm coming to bring tariffs here and get rid of taxes.
How come when we look at the actual impact of tariffs, Trump's tariffs cost on average the American household an extra $1,000?
You're right there, Mario.
Because you're at the beginning part of it.
Race so far.
We're at the beginning part.
Really?
People behind closed doors. So when they expose themselves and actually expose what they're planning on doing for America, you're going to find out.
Which country is paying?
China.
Wait, Brian.
What China do?
Brian, who pays the tariffs?
That's what I'm saying. The other countries.
No.
Mexico's paying for it.
No.
Canada's paying for it.
No.
So, where's your loss?
No, they don't. That's
Yeah,
not
they
how
do.
tariffs work. Brian, are
Oh.
tariffs an import or an export tax?
In export and import, that's what he's doing.
They're an import tax. When we place tariffs on a country, they're an import tax. And who pays that tax? Is it the importer or the exporter?
Well, for Mexico, it's the Mexican president, wasn't it?
Nope.
And she actually folded, didn't she?
Nope.
But she stood her ground and then failed.
Nope.
Same as Trudeau.
Brian,
He
these are
finally
just
stepped
things that
down.
are untrue.
Really?
The tariff is paid by the person importing the product. So when there is a tariff on a product and you are a business in America buying that product from overseas, you pay the tariff, not the country selling it to you. You still buy their product at whatever they're charging, then the United States charges you a tax on top of that.
The ones he extremely charged extremely charged got backed off, but the other ones didn't, and the other ones were smarter than the other average payer. They actually run the businesses to America, so they don't reward tariffs because they're built in America. Yeah, dude. And I told you, he silly told you, if you don't want to pay tariffs, then bring your business to America.
We are losing manufacturing jobs.
Really? Where?
Yes.
Probably rundown cities, but they're not here in Indiana. Apparently, you never driven through Indiana. Apparently, you never driven through Indiana. Dude, you have not driven through Indiana.
We have lost, by the way, since 2025, we've lost 62,000 manufacturing jobs.
Machine tells if you're a good guy or a bad guy. How? All good guys drink Wilkins instant coffee.
Show me percentages. Statistics is basically fraud.
It's a 0.5% loss of manufacturing jobs since July since January of 2025.
By Democrat or liberal view, or is it actually from a real?
Are you fucking dumb, Brian? Brian, are you stupid? Are you genuinely this?
I listen to liberals and COVID-19, so yeah, I don't believe you guys.
This is federal knowledge. You're stupid.
I did the makeup, the elements, the costumes. Some.
Says the fact that you don't know what numbers are. All right, goodbye, Brian.
Max Factor lasting performance is virtually touch-proof. You can change your clothes, kiss somebody, you can touch your face without having to touch up your makeup. I wished I'd had it on Titanic.
Lasting performance from Max Factor. Get James Cameron's Titanic, the collectible companion book to the blockbuster film, free when you buy Titanic on video cassette, now on sale, and $10 of Max Factor products.
On guard, salute Wilkins coffee. But I don't drink Wilkins coffee. Some learn, some don't. Do you drink Wilkins coffee? No. Oh, things just seem to happen to people who don't drink Wilkins.
Mä oon aina halunnut vaan ajaa. Mutta tähän alaan liittyy niin paljon muutakin. Niin kuin sopimukset.
It was crucial to make a good contract for Kimi at the beginning of his career. And in 2001, we made the most important deal for his future. That's when we changed to DNA.
Kyllä täytyy sanoa, että vaihtamalla parani. Niiltä on saanut niin pienet puhelinlaskut, että nyt on sitten jäänyt rahaa itsellekin.
As you say in Finland, ei ne suuret tulot, vaan ne pienet menot.
Fucking people on the left are
Round 12 of the Video Game Championships 2026. Here at the Mazurek racetrack for the Czech Republic Grand Prix. Here at the legendary Brno circuit. Hello! And as you can see, while I am very overexposed because this camera actually stopped working a few nights back and I only just got it working now, you might see there's a bit of a difference now. I finally got a shave. But enough about me. Let's get the next game loaded up. I hope you're all having a wonderful time. I hope you've enjoyed the support acts that we're starting at this event. It's going to be quite... I think this is going to be probably one of genuinely the most exciting races. We've never, and I mean this, not even way back before we started archiving this stuff, we've never done a race at the Mazurek circuit. This is a first. This is the first time we've ever done a race here. So I'm looking very, very forward to that. And while the pre-race countdown stuff kicks in, that'll be background noise, I suppose. As you can see here, hopefully, there we go. You can see the live coverage of the track. There's your 15-minute mark, which means in 15 minutes, we'll be starting the race. Well, who would have figured, huh? Now, I hope you're all having a wonderful time. Let's get down to it, shall we? So we have BBC, ITV, and Eurosport. Now, I'm not sure which one we're getting just yet. It's on a randomizer here. Once we get the providers in, then we shall know. And I think it might actually be ITV for once. Oh no, change of plan. It is in fact BBC commentators. Again, I hope you're all having a great time. Or hopefully having a wonderful day. And it will indeed be Eurosport commentary. Oh no, sorry, no, my bad. No, BBC commentary, sorry. I misread something. I am very silly. I do apologize, folks. But you will be getting Murray Walker and Jackie Stewart for this one. Good choice, if you ask me. But enough of my ramblings, like a mad fella that I am. Well, not a fella for long. Let's get on with it, shall we? Well, we get a good overview of a track that is completely unrelated to the one we're going to be looking at tonight, or today. Depends on your time, or depends on your region, time zones, etc. Waiting for cars to go out to track. Shouldn't take too much longer now, in fact. So, Will McCrory, the first trans Formula 1 driver, and we support her all the way, has managed to get all the way up to first. The reason for this is because we have a new sort of rule to explain why certain drivers will have the same number of points no matter who's there. So Ralf Schumacher, for the most part, has actually done a very consistent job in the Drivers' Championship standings. That's why his points go all the way up to the top. Whereas Will McCrory, now taking his place, she now has the top with the 48 points that Ralph once had. Neil Shattuck also in second place with 46 points to her name, and Fernando Alonso starting to slip back just a teeny bit down to third with 45 points. Jarno Trulli in fourth with 36 points to his name, Kimi Räikkönen in 5th with 32 points. And Ralf Schumacher, well, sorry, not Ralf Schumacher, Juan Montoya was the person that Will was taken over for. But Ralph finds himself down in 6th with 27 points. Not the best, but it could be worse. Andre Lotterer, the new Jaguar driver for this one-off moment, for this one-off occasion rather, as we have technical problems kicking in here. Sorry, folks. 10 minutes ago, we just had a technical issue. I don't know what's... Very strange. Are we back now? Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I think we had a small power cut. I do apologize, folks. Continuing now with David Coulthard in 8th. Going further down the field now. In fact, exactly halfway down the field. So Olivier Panis in 9th with 15 points. Nick Heidfeld with 14 points. Kaz Zachary, actually someone I know quite well. She takes over for, I believe it's, well, what would have been Justin Wilson's place in Minardi. Justin Wilson now finds himself promoted to Jaguar, replacing Antonio Pizzonia. Jos Verstappen, Jos the boss, not doing too well with 12 points to his name. And Jenson Button in 14th place with the same number of points. Same goes to Michael Schumacher. And Ricardo Zonta at the bottom of the barrel, rather unfortunately, with 11 points in the Toyota. Now you can see that the grid girls are going out onto the track. And we're seeing the pit crews getting, some of the pit crew personnel getting prepared to see some of their cars go out the track. Which means, as I said before, you look at that timer at the top, 9 minutes 20 and counting. So we will be seeing a race going down very, very soon. There's not really much else I can say at the moment. Oh, actually, there is something we could talk about. And that is that the Renault team, despite Will McCrory's best efforts, the Renault team, the combined efforts of Jarno Trulli and Fernando Alonso, have seen them skyrocket all the way up to 81 points. And they're actually starting to outgun the Williams team. Ferrari are dropping back quite a significant amount. And unless the BMW, unless the Williams and Renault teams start having the worst of luck going into the next and going into this final block of races, then it's looking very unlikely for Ferrari to catch up, rather. The 4th place is McLaren with 57 points. They're also dropping back, and that's probably due to the failure of their new machine, the MP418, I think it's called. Very unfortunate time for those fellas. With the Jaguar boys now being... This shows the real deficit here. The top 4 teams, Renault, Williams, Ferrari, McLaren. And the rest of the teams, Jaguar, Toyota, Minardi, Sauber, etc. Like, they've not had any good luck. But this has been one of those rare cases where all 11 teams, including BAR and the Arrows team, who I don't even think are going to make it to this race, it's always discovered at the final moment when the track holds up whether we will actually have them there. So, now that that's all sorted out, it's time we talk about the track itself. We've gone over everything we can regarding the general layout of this whole thing. So let's take a look-see at that track once more. We'll take a look in just a moment. So, a bit of a backstory here. The Mazarink circuit here, or the Autodrome Brno, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I do apologize to my Czech Republic friends if I botched that. This is round 12, and it was initially supposed to be the last race before we did that season break in July. We can see the team getting their machinery wheeled out onto track. You know what that means? Cars will be going out very soon.
You're quite literally sitting on nothing. So again, your claim here is, well, the fire department's budget was cut, and that's why.
So I have to stretch.
Budget was higher that year than it was the year before. There were no budget cuts. They actually had a bigger budget. So your article is outwardly lying. They had a budget.
So, nestled in the rolling Czech Republic countryside, surrounded by forests and echoing with the sound of what will hopefully be screaming engines, which we've been getting all weekend. This is a kind of track that, in my opinion, it doesn't really test machinery. It tests resolve. And this is a track that's honestly more well known for its heavy braking zones, rather than, say, a lot of runoff areas. It's also got a lot of rapid direction, quick left-right flicks that seem to go on forever. And let me tell you, the elevation changes, they threw me off in the safety car run. And yes, that actually was me, I had to drive that. That was technically pre-recorded, but in engine it was played in real time. I knew I was hearing from some familiar sounds. There's Michael, yeah, that would be Michael Schumacher going out to track. Or at least one of the Ferrari motor cars, we can never tell these days. Renault Trill going out as well. But as I will finish the things I was trying to say earlier, it is quite loud now because we are hearing cars going up to the box. The track, as I said before, it's famous in the sort of motorbike scene for its heavy braking zones. And this track is pure, unadulterated rhythm. It's fast, it's flowing, and it's utterly unforgiving. But it rewards smoothness, which, say, someone like Jenson Button will get the hang of, and punishes impatience, which we've seen from drivers such as Montoya. Hopefully, Will McCrory, who has done a great job so far, she can manage to navigate this track with some smooth, calm, and controlled precision. Overall, I would call it a roller coaster of asphalt, a tempo of cornering, and one of the most soulful circuits in all of the European part of the season. As I said before, round 12 of this season was supposed to be, as we see, I think it's Heidfeld coming up now. As I said before, it's one of those cases where, and I do apologize, my eye is quite sore now. Might have a bit of pink eye, but don't worry about that. I can always get glasses if it's too weird. 3 minutes to go now until this race begins. And quite frankly, I'm looking very, very forward to this. Well, with that being said, I will cut my microphone feed in just a moment. But I will say, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys enjoy the dulcet tones of Murray Walker and Sir Jackie Stewart. Two minutes to go. We'll be on standby very, very soon.
So
Well, it's now time for the race itself. Again, just to remind y'all, we are here at the 2026 Video Game Championship Series, round number 12 of 17, at the Czech Republic Grand Prix, the Mazarin Circuit. This is one of my favorite ones to drive in F1 Challenge, but it's never one we've actually used in Grand Prix 4 itself. So, I have no predictions as to how this will turn out. I can't tell if this is going to be a complete snooze fest, if it's going to be a red flag disaster. But in any case, we should probably get down to the starting grid. 50 laps of this tight, twisty circuit. And here we go. Starting in pole position, at least for this first attempt, will be Olivier Panis. Ralph Furman starts in second. Will McCrory, very great qualifying job. She starts up in third. Again, depending on if the Arrows team have the funds, they will start their first car, Pedro de la Rosa. He will start in fourth. In fifth place, it's Jensen Button. Sixth place is Jos the Boss Verstappen. Neil Shattuck, not too bad job. She finds herself up in seventh position. Ralf Schumacher finds himself up in eighth. Ninth is Giancarlo Fisichella. 10th is Kimi Räikkönen. Michael Schumacher, Ricardo Zonta actually matched times, or lap times rather. And they both find themselves in 11th and 12th respectively. Justin Wilson starts in 13th place. Kaz Zachary on his Formula 1 debut, she starts down in 14th place. Not the best, but given the qualifying circumstances yesterday, I can't blame her for the average performance. It's also not the strongest car out there, but there's a lot of team spirit within this group. Heinz-Harald Frentzen starts in 15th place. With David Coulthard suffering a 5-place grid penalty for a gearbox change, he finds himself, well, in 16th. Andre Lotterer, one-time driver, he's got one shot at this, and he better not mess it up. Enrique Bernoldi starts in 18th place. Not a great job for the Arrows team. Nick Heidfeld in 19th, with Jarno Trulli in 20th. Now, at the back of the grid, two cars that even failed to get qualifying times in the rerun, or the remount, the sudden death mode as we call it. They both find themselves in 21st and 22nd place, respectively. So, any moment now, that warm-up lap will kick in. And off they go for that warm-up lap. Condition or weather-wise, it's very cold. It's very, very windy here. And it's looking to be raining for at least an hour. Mixed conditions, but we are seeing patches of blue out there. However, there is still a fair bit of rain out there. And it was raining during the break. Well, that's enough for me. Enjoy the sounds of screaming cars, Murray Walker, and Jackie Stewart. See you at the end of the race, everybody.
You know what that means, don't you? It means they're ready to go. Watch the lights. That's it, the superstar. Just got a bad one coming up along. Yet again, he has failed to start properly. Has undoubtedly got more horsepower in the Williams band Although, don't forget, is using the more powerful pneumatic valve engine. The rest of them go pouring through. A great start, Jackie. Very, very good for Damon Hill, because here he's got a situation which is fine, but we've got a... Position, they say, going through and taking cleanly. It finishes there. 20. Position, they say, and it looks as though it's going to need a lot of developing. Perfectly entitled to go anywhere on the circuit that he wants to, provided he does not blatantly weave. He is in front, so he can take the line.
advantage of it to the tune of more than 8 seconds. I do think they will start to be able to stand on it a little bit. There he
in front. He's perfectly entitled to go anywhere on the circuit that he wants to, provided he does not blatantly weave. He is in front, so he can take the line. And if in doing so, he can block so... position, they say, and it looks as though it's going to need a lot of... Seventh position is catching. That's a good pit stop. entitled to go anywhere on the circuit that he wants. Can take the line, and if in doing so, we're up to his pit team. Under goes the jack, lifts the front of him. One mechanic cleans his visor. There are mechanics. That's a good pit stop. Up to his pit team.
There you go, it's third place.
That's a good pit stop. You look at them now. Going through. Meantime, this great fight for. He is leading, and if his car's reliable, we can hope from the point of view that he is going to win his Grand Prix. That's a good pit stop.
Taking advantage of it to the tune of more than 8 seconds. I do think that we'll start to be able to stand on it a little.
Front. He's perfectly entitled to go. Finishes there, it is on the team's first point. In front. He's perfectly entitled to go anywhere on the circuit that he wants to, provided he does not blatantly weave. He is in front, so he can take the line. And if in doing so, he can block so much to the good as far as he's concerned.
The other thing that we'll be thinking about is aerodynamics. The air behind his car gets spoiled, so therefore, as far as concerned, he's got no...
21st position, they say, and... in front. He's perfectly entitled to go anywhere on the circuit that he wants to, provided he does not blatantly weave. He is in front, so he can take the line. And if in doing so, he can block so much to the good as far as he's concerned.
The other thing that we'll be thinking about is aerodynamics. The air behind his car gets spoiled, so therefore, as far as concerned, he's got no air problem.
Position, they say, and finishes there, it is on the team's first point.
Take my hat off, because this is indeed pressure to have narrowed that gap, because although Hill's pit stop was slightly faster, the entrance and
great fight for second position. There it is.
Has wisely taken advantage of it to the tune of
It finishes there, it is on the team's first point. Meantime, this
there you go, it's third place.
It finishes there, it is on the team's first point. We're up to his pit. Finishes there, it is on the team's first point. front. He's perfectly entitled to go anywhere on the circuit that he wants to, provided he does not.
Advantage of it to the tune of. I do think that he'll start to be able to stand on it a little bit. There he is. He's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. He's one of the smoothest drivers. Let's just watch him. He hardly ever touches a curb. He hardly ever uses more than the black car rather than getting onto the white curbs on the exits of corners. This type of driving of precision is the master at. He truly is one of the greatest drivers that I've known on the track. Does it with such precision.
Position, they say, and
has wisely taken advantage of it to the tune of more than 8 seconds. I do think that we'll start to be able to stand on it a little bit. There he is. He's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. He's one of the smoothest drivers. Let's just watch him. He hardly ever touches a curb. He hardly ever uses more than the black tar rather than getting onto the white curbs on the exits of corners. This type of driving of precision is the master art. He truly is one of the greatest drivers that I've known on the track. Does it with such precision, with such finesse. Lets a car roll into the corner rather than breaking it into a corner, giving the suspension every chance to do the job it was designed and intended to do. The only place, it would be interesting to see if he uses the curb coming out, but very little will you see of that man using curbs.
of them are pulling away. Absolutely sensational stuff. This is the best scrapping that we've had all season, no doubt about it.
I think he's going to be a little upset, in fact, because I think he feels now that it was cramping him there on the way through. He almost had the pass. conscious, of course, of the rain risk. The drivers are all... drivers are always very conscious. The drivers are always very conscious, of course, of the rain risk.
just do your work. What I said. Don't tell me I just going to open a Target store for you. I'm just going to give you this, that.
You can have your phone back.
Ma'am, I just...
off to me. He's done it again. Yet again, he is out of the race. 21st position, they say, and it looks as though it's going to need a lot of developing. Down in 13th position, very unhappy. Marvellous. 7th position is catching. Into 6th position and is in the points, and I have little doubt that we'll have to make a pit stop to check. Is in front. Is perfectly in. Jack. That's a good pit stop. Up to his pit team. That's a good pit stop.
they must have been slightly slower to bring them down to what it was when they rejoined. Has wisely taken advantage of it to the tune of more than 8 seconds. I do think that we'll start to be able to stand on it a little bit. There he is, he's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. He's one of the smoothest drivers. Let's just watch him. He hardly ever touches a curb. He hardly ever uses more than the black tar rather than getting onto the white curbs on the exits of corners. This type of driving of precision.
wins the Grand Prix, sees the checkered flag, and will be as delighted as he always is to win a race. He's driven a superb race, he pressured, and sadly you've heard the story of what happened to him. He was giving it everything that he had got, but it just wasn't enough.
Know what day it is?
Fantastic race there. Absolutely sensational driving there from all the parties involved. So we're going to move over to our separate feed here. And unfortunately, we've actually lost the graphic. We skipped over the graphic by accident. So here's what we can do. We can take a look at the updated points results. So, Neo Shattuck, by definition of winning, by definition, the only mean people who actually won points. She finds herself now in the lead, ahead of Will McCrory by a single championship point. Alonso just wasn't really anywhere to begin with. He finds himself still in third. Jarno Trulli in fourth. Kimi Räikkönen in fifth with 32 points. And David Coulthard in sixth with 29 points to his name. There's Weber getting out of his car now, as we see the Ferrari of Neo Shattuck parking up, probably in most likely in Parc Fermé. And results-wise, Renault have still got the upper hand, considering both their cars have been doing fairly well the second half of the season. Williams still need to play catch-up, and McLaren and Ferrari are on equal terms now. At any moment now, I would imagine. There's Michael getting out of his car, I think, at least. Oh no, that's Neo Shattuck, sorry. So she'll be getting out of her car. And we should be getting to the podium results, or the podium celebrations, any second now. As Jenson Button takes his first ever race win, and he will be absolutely over the moon with that. So a moment of silence for the national anthem of the driver and also the constructor's title, or the constructor's nationality. There's the constructor title for, there's the first place trophy for that man, Jenson Button. He'll be more than chuffed with that as we take a look at these results one more time before we wrap things up for the day. And there's the champagne! And that is us done with the live coverage here at the Video Game Championships 2026, Round 12, the Czech Republic Grand Prix. There's one last look at this track map, which I think I did a decent job with, personally. But, you know, I'm always a critic of my own work. So, join us next week when we go to the German Grand Prix of the Nürburgring for a condensed layout used usually by the DTM bunch. I've been Debug McGraw. Have a lovely night. Take care.